Welcome to Fashion Reverie Talks. I am Tiana Ibrahimovic.
And I'm Christopher Fraser, filling in for Broadway diva Cicely Daniels.
Fashion Reverie Talks takes you from the front lines of fashion to the front row.
All of Fashion Reverie Talks content is based on published content found on fashionreverie.com.
So remember, if you want more information on the segments, go to fashionreverie.com. And if you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button on this episode of YouTube.
In this episode, we're happy to have fashion designer Evan Hirsch, and we chat with Fashion Reverie editor-in-chief William Gooch about New York Bridal Fashion Week. But let's start with fashion news alerts. All Fashion Reverie's fashion news alerts are based on published content found on fashionreverie.com.
All right, so first piece of news. There are more comings and goings in the fashion industry. The most recent major shakeup is Jonathan Anderson's departure from Loewe. Anderson, who served as creative director for 11 years, is leaving the brand for the creative directorship of Dior. So Dior, like Loewe, is under the auspices of the LVMH, but Anderson will be replaced by the fashion design duo at Prensa Schooler. As they say, they're incredibly honored to join the fashion house, and they value their mission and they're close with their own. So it is a great shakeup. I think the brand has been doing great with their, latest Met Gala appearances and red carpet appearances. Especially, they also have a 179-year-old heritage. So it will bring the new shape up of the brand for this year.
Yeah, that Dior thing's still a pretty big rumor right now, but it's like apparently one of the loudest rumors in the fashion industry, Tiana. It's like a glass closet secret, everyone's calling it, because they've still yet to confirm.
Well, Fashion Reverie talks about it, so why not?
Speaking of people with new jobs, legendary fashion stylist Law Roach, image architect extraordinaire, has a new reality hosting gig. He will now be a judge on Project Runway, joining Christian Siriano and Nina Garcia, and also this season returning for Project Runway, Heidi Klum's back as the main host.
Oh, wow. I love Heidi Klum. She always
Yeah,
brings a little bit
it'll
of
be
joy.
interesting to see her return to her roots as the Project Runway host. And, Law Roach is also no stranger to reality television himself. He was on a couple seasons of America's Next Top Model. He was also a host on Legendary on HBO, the Vogue Ballroom competition show. So it'll be interesting to see what a kind of shade, humor, and chops he brings to his role on Project Runway, because he is always a kiki.
Yes, amazing. Well, more news in the fashion industry. So Mugler has appointed Miguel Castro Freitas as its new creative director. So as you can see, a lot of news this week. And so he will succeed outgoing creative director Casey Cadwallader. And he comes with an impressive resume. He's a graduate of Central St. Martin's in 2004. And he has creative stints at Dior under John Galliano, Saint Laurent, and Lavan under Albert Elbaz. And so most notably, he was the head of tailoring at Christian Dior, led by Raf Simons. So I think another piece of exciting news. What do you think, Christopher? How is he going to do?
I really love Casey Cadwallader, but the new creative director definitely has a very impressive resume. So I'm excited to see what he will do, especially since he worked under so many great designers. And apparently, if you want a big creative director job, you just need to go to St. Martin's.
Why not, right? Well, that would be all for Fashion Reverie news. If you want more info, go to fashionreverie.com, and we continue our episode with another special appearance. I'm excited to welcome Evan Hirsch to talk about his latest bridal collection. It is always good to have Evan back. Hi, Evan. How are you?
I'm good. Excited to be here with you today.
Good to see you. I see you're wearing one of your signature designs with a flower and a big flower. And I can't quite see well, but hope to see it in person sometime soon.
Definitely. I never leave the house without like one big statement, brooch, flower, just something really in your face. So that was my inspo for today.
Love it. So let's talk about your fall 2025 collection that you showed at New York Fashion Week.
Yes, so that was a really great experience. I wanted to do something kind of unique for me this season. I was really inspired by my childhood in terms of painting and creating art. I was always a very artistic young child, and my mom enrolled me in a lot of art classes when I was young to my benefit today. So that was really great. And I was inspired by, I do a lot of these transforming, shape shifting, color changing dresses, but I wanted this season to be a focus on the actual look of the garment. So I used a lot of ombre fabrics to show color changing in a different way. So that was really great as well.
Oh, amazing. But you have also recently developed a new project where you go into a Goodwill store, buy a garment and embellish it. Is that right?
Yes, this was something that I kind of considered a little social experiment where I would just go to a thrift store. I mean, every designer wants to see their, garment in a retail store. So I said, what is a low risk way that I could do that as kind of a social experiment? So I went into a local Goodwill. I bought a dress, like a $7 or $6 BB dress. I went home, I beaded it for over like 30 hours and then
Wow.
returned it straight back to the thrift store. I inconspicuously put it in my tote bag and just put it back on the rack. And it really took off. People resonated with it. People said that they, growing up, all they could do was shop at thrift stores, and that was the only access they had to buying clothes. So to find something that was custom couture made in a thrift store and see the story behind it, they really found a special place for that in their hearts.
Wow. Have you ever done that for a bridal gown?
I am going to. So, as you know, Bridal Fashion Week is coming up. I have my show on the CFDA calendar on April 9th. So, I thought, why not continue this momentum of doing these little social experiments at the thrift store and now have a dress that was seen, during a New York Bridal Fashion Week presentation back at the thrift store. So, it's kind of like a runway to thrift store segue that I don't think has been done before.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you're excited about the bridal week.
I am. This
Tell us a
season.
little bit about what to expect when it comes to your collection.
Yeah, definitely. This season, I'm focusing on these capes that I make that have been sort of like a commercial success for me, which is
And
really,
I love those capes.
I've become like synonymous with it, which is really great. I mean, I've been doing all of these in your face, crazy, transformative dresses, but the crazy thing is this retail success has kind of been these little chiffon capes. So it's funny how, the when you think too much about something, sometimes the least expected thing is what really takes off. So that's been really great too. It all started when I was on the Sherry Shepherd show and they asked me, oh, can you give a gift to Sherry? I said, yes, I make these little capes. I'd love to give her one. I gifted her one on the show. And within that moment when it aired on Fox, I got like 12 orders. And then they posted the video and I got another like 15 orders. And then the week after I got another 10. And I was like, I think I got to do this, but I got to expand the collection rather than this one cape. Like I got to make capes with an S. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing for this
No, I
one.
actually saw that episode with Sherry and I saw the cape. It was like you could wear it in more ways than one, correct?
Yeah, you could wear it as a cape. You could flip it upside down and you could wear it as like a shawl with these hand placed flowers on it. Or you could throw it around your waist. You could attach it to your dress and it becomes like a little peplum. So it's still convertible, but in another way.
Very cool. So, what is coming next for you? Well, what's next after the bridal?
So after bridal week, I mean, we always like to finish one fashion season and go straight into the other one. So I'll definitely be thinking about spring, summer in September. So that's always a big, a lot of people enjoy the nice weather fashion weeks rather than standing in the cold. So that's going to be really exciting to do a September fashion week. And hopefully in between that, we have some red carpet opportunities between the Met Gala and the Tony Awards. So fingers crossed. We have some things in the works. So I'm hoping they come to fruition.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Evan. And I will see you at a bridal show.
See you then.
While we're on the topic of Bridal Fashion Week, Fashion Reverie Editor-in-Chief William Gooch is here to talk to us about the upcoming New York Bridal Fashion Week season. Hey, Gooch.
Hello, Christopher.
You ready for bridal?
Not quite. I'm still getting invitations and requests and confirming and trying to get my schedule together, but it's going to be a really exciting bridal week. Very exciting. I'm really excited about it.
The question I've always wanted to ask you. How'd you get involved with Bridal Fashion Week? How'd you get hip to it? Like, when'd you start attending?
Well, as a fashion editor in New York back in the day, we would get, once you got on the list for fashion PR firms, they would invite you to everything. Something that doesn't happen as much as it used to, and they really need to go back to that. So I was writing for other fashion publications. I had started or launched fashionreverie.com yet. And I would get all these invitations to bridal. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. How many white dresses can you look at? I thought it would be really boring. So when I launched fashionreverie.com as an online fashion magazine, our go-to fashion magazine for all things fashion, I was thinking, well, we need to have different kind of content. We can't just do ready to wear, can't just cover the couture collections. Let's try something different. And so that season, I think Fashion Reverie was about a year and a half old. I started getting all these bridal invitations. And believe it or not, there was a designer named Douglas Hanault. I don't know if you remember Douglas Hanault.
Yes, I do. It was a little before my time, but I know the lore.
Right. And he had a store in the Plaza Hotel. And I used to cover Douglas's ready to wear. And, Freddie Anderson was his go-to man at Douglas and all. And Frederick Anderson now that has his own collection, but they were partners and worked together. So I got invited to Douglas's bridal at the Plaza Hotel. I mean, who would turn down a fashion show at the Plaza? So I said, you know what? I'm going to give this a try. And I went to about 3 or 4 bridal shows that season. And I was just blown away by the variety and the diversity of the silhouettes. And it wasn't just one white dress after the next. And granted, there's a lot of white dresses. Let's be real about this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of white dresses. But there were bridal cocktail dresses, bridal jumpsuits, and a brand that we loved that I went to that first season, Thea, had an incredible creative director at one time. And I never forget one season, Don O'Neill, he's no longer there, but he did a whole bridal collection referencing David Bowie. Can you believe it? It was David Bowie, glam rock, early 70s bridal. I mean, I don't know how well it sold, but it was off the charts. So that kind of informed me that it was more than just one pretty classic silhouette bridal gown. It's coming from a lot of different directions. And so we've been on the bridal train ever since, and we just love it.
So a lot of the ready-to-wear world, it's governed by the Council of Fashion Designers of America, CFDA. But the Bridal Council, could you talk to us about the Bridal Council?
Well, the Bridal Council started, I'm not quite sure when it started, maybe 10, 11 years ago. And one of the reasons it was started, Rachel Leonard and Louis Iacobelli, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correct, the president of Atelier PR, one of our favorite PR companies.
Oh, yes, they're very good.
Lou.
We love Lou.
Lou is the kindest man in the world. They decided they had to do something so that Bridal Week would not go down the same rabbit hole that New York Fashion Week was going down, where you had these brands come and present at Fashion Week, and then they were gone. And there was no way for consumers to get in contact with those after they saw the reviews and the collections online. There was no way for consumers to purchase the garments. The garments didn't end up in American department stores. They were mostly online. So it was kind of like that was happening in bridal, where we had bridal brands that were not US-based brands that were coming to New York Fashion Week, because it was called New York International Bridal Week at the time. And they would get a showroom, they would get a space, a venue, they would show, get crazy press, draw editors and stylists and boutique owners to their shows, and then they were gone. There was nowhere to contact them. There was nowhere for the boutique owners to really contact to get the gowns in their stores for their audience, their customers. There was nowhere for consumers to purchase the gowns. They just came for the allure and the publicity and the great press, and they would take that press and use it to get investors. So they kind of used New York Bridal Week, New York International Bridal Week, without really trying to establish a presence in the United States. And Lou and Rachel said, okay, we got to stop this. Because I had a long conversation with Lou about it some years ago. And they said, we got to stop this. We've got to make this a serious bridal week where people have to be invested in Bridal Week and showing in the U.S. and having their bridal collections available for consumers in the U.S. So they started the Bridal Council kind of as a regulatory board. I don't know if that's the right word, a regulatory board, so that people who were coming were very serious about being in the U.S. market. It's kind of almost like, I don't know if you know this, Chris. Well, I'm sure you know so much. You're so bright, but it's like Paris Fashion Week. Everybody can't show in Paris and be on the calendar.
Yeah, like you
can show in Paris, but you're not on the official calendar. In order to show in Paris Fashion Week, you have to have an atelier, an address in Paris. You can't be on the official calendar just by popping up, renting a venue, and showing like you can do here, unfortunately, in New York. So it makes Paris Fashion Week a lot more serious, a lot more. People have to be invested a little bit more, the brands. And Lou and Rachel, if I'm not mistaken, wanted to do the same thing. And it has really worked. One thing you don't see at Bridal Week that unfortunately we see too much at New York Fashion Week is a lot of random people coming in and out who don't serve the fashion industry or the brands at all. And the revolving door of random people just popping in, influencers that don't have a big audience popping in and kind of trying to make it into their own thing. The people at Bridal are serious, for the most part, serious industry professionals. And I want to thank Lou and Rachel for really, really putting those standards in place that work really well for the New York market.
So with all your years of attending Bridal, who are some of your favorite designers that you're looking forward to, especially with the season coming up next week?
Well, I love Mark Ingram. That's my buddy. That's my brand. I love Mark. Mark does wonderful, beautiful traditional silhouettes, but he adds a little something modern and special to it. So it's not just a beautiful trumpet gown, bridal gown, or a beautiful princess gown. It's always a story, a wonderful story. I remember 2 seasons ago, he did a whole Gilded Age bridal collection. It was unbelievable. And this season, he's having a runway show, more than just a presentation. So that's exciting. And of course, Christopher, I've seen you at Inez DeSanto. You know how much we love her.
DeSanto. Ooh, yes. That's my girl right there.
There you go. It's glam, couture, expensive. It's like, yes.
It's giving couture Disney princess every time.
Every time. One year were you at her collection the year she showed at Jazz at Lincoln Center with a full symphony orchestra?
Do you have like a guesstimate what year that was?
No, I don't remember. I go to so many things. I can't remember all these.
I think I went to someone's show with Jazz at Lincoln Center. I think it was hers, and this was some years back.
Some years back, yes, about 5 years, about 6 years ago.
Yep, I think I was there.
Yeah, so it's on her collections are on that level, that very luxury, fantasy level. So Inez, of course, is a must. Let's see. It's so many to choose from, Christopher. It's hard. Well, Mira Zwillinger. Oh my God, just glam, beat it, couture. I love her. And we're actually going to her show this season. Idan Cohen, which is sexy, hot, bridal, sexy girl. You want to show what your mama gave you kind of gowns. You know what I'm saying? It's just fun. Sexy. Yes. Those are my favorites. Those are a few of my favorites.
So I know you're still assembling your schedule, but are there any other designers you're looking forward to? Like maybe some newcomers or people that haven't shown in a while that are coming back?
Well, Reem Akra.
Oh,
she's not really back. She never left, but she would do private appointments. But she's doing a big presentation on Monday, I think April 7th.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
I said, oh, okay. Reem's always delivers.
We used to go to Reem, Chris, we would go to Reem's Ready to Wear, remember? And it was just sublime. But she's doing but she's back with a full presentation / show on the 7th at a mansion. I can't remember the exact address. I think it's in the 50s somewhere, some mansion that she's going to have it. And this season, Joseph Aboud, who does men's tuxedos, men's bridal tuxedos, he's doing a big presentation on Bridal Week. And, I've never been to Joseph Aboud's bridal tuxedo, so that's a first for me. I've been to his shows for ready to wear.
Oh, yes, his fashion shows back in the day were my favorite
because the clothes were just
everything, production, the casting of the models, the clothes, just deliver.
So he's showing. I don't know if it's the first time, but it's my first experience of seeing his presentation of men's bridal wear. So that's going to be great. Of course, Evan was just on, so we love Evan. So I can't wait to see what he's doing this season. And it's just
grown a lot too. So
yeah, he's grown. He's really grown so much as a designer. And it's wonderful, Christopher. And I know you feel the same way, to kind of be with the designer at the beginning of their career and stay with them and see their growth. I mean, what do you think?
I've seen a lot of designers in this industry go. Like I remember there were designers I used to have to go to pull from their apartments, and now they got collaborations and collections at Bloomingdale's and these big stores that are doing all this big money in e-commerce now. I'm like, I remember the infancy of their careers.
Yes. And I want to add that we will have our bridal preview article up next week. And it's written by Marley Gifford, one of our newest editors at Fashion Reverie, and she's doing such an incredible job. And so viewers, please go to fashionreverie.com and see her bridal preview for spring 2026. Remember, bridal collections are always shown a year in advance because brides plan their weddings a year or more in advance. So please go to fashionreverie.com and look at her article. She's going to have not only a preview, she's going to have sketches. It's going to be a really, really great piece. So I'm so glad that we're doing this conversation, Christopher, because that leads into what Marley's going to finish sending to us and we're going to put up next week prior to Bridal Week. So, and Christopher, thank you for such a great interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Gooch. It's always
and it's great to see your growth.
Well, thank you, boss. Great to hear from you on this episode of Fashion Reverie Talks.
Okay, thank you.
Well, viewers, that's it for this episode of Fashion Reverie Talks.
We would like to thank Fashion Reverie Editor-in-Chief William Gooch and fashion designer Evan Hirsch for joining us for this episode.
For information on these and other stories, go to fashionreverie.com. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.